Hey everyone, it's Lucas, and I'm here to showcase something that I've made, or I'm still working on, but well, it's just a side project. It's a library for Rust, and I'm also working on, so it's actually possible to use the library out of other languages, if that makes sense. You can do that through a C bridge, and then other languages can bridge to C, and that's how I'm going to approach this. But what actually is this library? Well, this library is called csvll, stands for CSV Localization Library. So first of all, CSV is a table format, you could say. So basically it's just a text file with information in there that's separated by commas, and that's actually a table. We're going to have a look at that in a second. And localization is basically the possibility to have multiple languages within an app, or generally within a program or application. Well, that's what app stands for. And yeah, just to be able to have support for multiple languages, and that's what localization means. The name kind of is misleading in my opinion. You could kind of think it means to deploy an app onto your local machine or something like that, but it stands for the language, which also makes sense because of local and the language is local. Yeah, you kind of get what I mean, I think. Right, so here basically is a documentation on how to do this. So this video is kind of unnecessary in a way, but I thought it would be nice to see it in a video format as well. And if we click on here, we're able to see what it looks like for the package manager of Rust. Here, 105 downloads. There are older versions as well here, but I mean, I also had former projects of this. That's actually what it started off as, and then that name followed, and that's the final name. That's what it's going to stay like. It has for nearly a month, well, 13 days, well, for 3 weeks, basically. All right, so the current version is 0.1.6, and yeah, no updates since nearly 2 weeks. All right, so I'm going to show you now how this works. So we're going to start off heading to the desktop. Actually, let me make a new one. Desktop, and let's actually have a new or showcase and executable. Let's have a new project. Oops. Cargo new showcase bin. What happened? Oh, the dashes were wrong. I'm sorry. All right, so let's drag and drop that into Atom, my IDE, and then we have to add followingly the dependence. We have to add our library to the dependency right here, and install it by running cargo install in the terminal as soon as we are in the directory. There you go. And yeah, I should probably think before I do some things like this. I mean, while I'm in a process. Oops, no, I closed the wrong window. See, that's kind of like what I'm talking about. It's really late, I'm sorry. That's why all those mistakes occur. Right, so extern create and then csvll. So that's how we add it. And then if we want to say, let's use certain parts of the code or everything, we have to say use csvll, and then here we can say like one model, or we can specify multiple ones within the curly braces, or just with a star say everything should be used or shall be used, whatever. And then how are we doing this? So basically in csvll there are 3 models, which is the manager, then a word, and a language. And all of those are specified in a repository. If you go here and scroll down, you can see the manager object, word, and language. Well, I have to kind of say struct, as there are no objects in Rust, as it's not object-oriented. So yeah, well, it's structs. And you see here, a language has an ID, a word has an ID, and also to which language it belongs by the ID, and a value as well. The manager has the file, which is where it gets all the information from, and then a vector or array of languages and words and a default language. So that's pretty decent. All right. So what we're gonna do is first of all start making such a table. Here you can just follow this if you want to, but I'll show you. Basically here on the X you have the language names. So English, for example, English US, and German, and maybe Japanese, but Romaji, because Romaji is, well, in Latin characters or Roman characters, what Japanese actually would be translated to. I'm currently learning the hiragana character system, but whatever. And here you can have the IDs of the words. They don't have to be in order. They can be whatever, what they can start wherever you want. They don't have to start with 1 or 0. They can start at 5, and then 6 can follow, and then suddenly it's 2. Well, the library doesn't really care about that. So you can say 1 and 2, for example. Let's start off with saying hello and konnichiwa. And then we can say here goodbye and tschüss and sayonara. So I think you read like this. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but yeah. And that actually doesn't matter what's inside of here, but we can simply say language for X and IDs for languages and IDs for Y. So now we can click here and say, we can click on file, download as, and then followingly CSV as a comma separated values file. And let's drag and drop that right onto the desktop, and let's call it video. For example, you can call it whatever you want to. And then we have to create a manager, which is what everything takes care of. And we can start off doing that by saying, well, a mutable variable called M or manager or whatever, and then a new one. So if you download an older version of this, so if you go for that, you actually have to add CSV as an extension by the end. If you use the latest version, so everything up from 0.1.6, you don't have to do that anymore. So if you scroll down, you will get all the methods that you can call on here. So if we say directory, which is one outside of our directory of the project, and then the file is called video. And then we have our manager, and now we have to parse all the information out of this file that it now has. So basically this would be filled now through the initialization process. I'm sorry, it's so late, I'm really tired. Parse, and we're done. Basically the information is loaded, but we need a default language. We can't really do anything at this point. We need a default language. So if we say manager and then set def, we can say, well, the languages are kind of like this: 0, 1, 2. That's how it works. So if we say 0, it's going to be English. Let's actually do that for now. And then we have all those methods, like get default gives you a reference to the language that's currently the default language, and then a vector of references to words. Or you can get a certain reference to a word with the word ID, which would be this of the current default language, or the same thing with words. So let's actually get the default values for language and for the words. So let's say here, for example, let language and words, and it's gonna be manager and then get def, and that's it. Now we have this tuple, or not tuple, but it declares those two variables. And now we could say here println current language is, and that would be, if we scroll up, language name. So if we say language and name, it's going to do that. And then what we could do is, if we current language is words are, and then new line again, for example, and then we could say for word in words, and we can print a new line, maybe with a tab, and then asterisk or something, and then we could say word, and if we look here, it's value. And if we go here and run if we go into the terminal and hit cargo and type in cargo run, it should give us words are. Maybe we actually don't need this new line then. Cargo run, words are hello, goodbye. Let's actually set another language. Let's say 2 for Japanese. Cargo run, and you see here, current language is Japanese for Maji, Konnichiwa, Sayonara. That's pretty decent, I think. But the best way of actually using this library, in my opinion, is probably the get word. So you could simply say, for example, print line, and then here you could have a greeting or something. And here you could build in something like user name. Let's say it's gonna be Michael. I don't know, Michael. And then we have the greeting, which would be, if we look here, the greeting is at ID 0, whatever language it's 0. So that's gonna be manager, and then get word, I believe, and then the ID of the word, which is 0, and then the words val, which is the actual string, and then username to get the name. And if we hit cargo run, it says, maybe that was wrong, get word. No, all right, really works since 0.1.6. It doesn't really seem to work all that well. Let's see what it is. Hello, Michael. You see, in English it works. In German it works. In Japanese it did not work. No. Here. Okay, that's strange. All right. So I have to look that up. I think there's an error in my library. I'm sorry about that. Bad showcase in that now? No, not really. You see, it actually works, but there are some things to be worked on, and that's what I'm going to do throughout the next weeks and days and months. I'm going to keep this project alive. I'm really sure about that. I want to make it work for other languages as well. And that's actually about it. And I hope you like this idea. Maybe you can do that yourself, or you can contribute to this project. That would always be appreciated. Rust is a beautiful language. And yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next video. I'm sorry that there haven't been any videos recently, like throughout the last month. It had its reasons. I'm gonna make videos more, well, I'm not gonna make any promises, but I'm not gonna promise anything, but I will try to make multiple videos throughout a month. Like, let's say at least 2. That would be kind of what I want to do, as this is just like a hobby, not really what I'm super into, but whatever. Yeah, before I talk too much, I'll end it right here, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Have a good day, night, whatever it is for you, and yeah, peace.